I work full-time at a domestic violence shelter. I spend my days answering the crisis hotline and helping survivors figure out how to leave incredibly dangerous situations. When the phones aren't ringing, I'm changing sheets after another kid wet the bed, unable to wake from their nightmares. I console residents after weeks of not being able to find a job. I help schedule medical and mental health appointments for wounds that just won't heal. It's an exhausting job, but a rewarding one. My favorite days are the days I get to drive the van. A few weeks ago, I drove a woman to court. She left an incredibly abusive husband. She had never called the cops on him because that's not what you do in her wealthy community in the suburbs. He made sure never to leave marks where her friends could see. Not that he allowed her to have friends. The final straw for her was when her 10-year-old son called her a bitch. She knew then that she would make whatever sacrifice necessary to make sure he didn't turn out like his dad. In court, she couldn't prove the domestic violence accusations. There was no paper trail, and her pro bono attorney barely held a candle to his high-priced shark. His attorney argued for full custody. After all, the boy's mother is living in a homeless shelter. How could she possibly afford his travel baseball fees and his cello lessons and his math tutoring? His dad could afford the best, and he hadn't abandoned his family. Full custody for dad, and visitation for mom. But of course, the visitation wouldn't be permitted to take place in a shelter, and right now, she has nowhere else to go. It's amazing the kind of information one can get from a well-crafted safety plan. What time does he typically leave for and get back from work? Oh, that's just to let us know when to take you back to your house to safely retrieve your belongings. What part of town does he work in, so we can make sure your new apartment is far away? What roads does he typically drive? We don't want you waiting for the bus anywhere he might spot you. On Saturday, we arranged a field trip to the zoo for all the families in our shelter and the kids who only had visitation with their moms. We loaded up our beautiful, cherry red 15-passenger van with a picnic lunch, popsicles, and petty cash for souvenirs. We try to bring happiness wherever we can. Meanwhile, another van pulled up in front of a nice house in the suburbs. We purchased this van with donations from a specific group of donors. Women who had gone on to create their fortunes despite the abusive husbands or partners who had tried to hold them back. As my coworker climbed out of the back in workman's coveralls, used the alarm code we had on file, and headed straight to the third room on the left, I smiled under the baseball cap pulled down low. This is an exhausting job, but a rewarding one.